Oh. Gonna do a thing that I've never done before, so we'll see what happens. Oh, okay. I don't know. Zoelle, can you any idea how to share where I'm supposed to share in
You
different?
mean for the groups?
Yeah.
I'm doing that right now.
You are the best. Thank you. That was the thing I was supposed to do, and I couldn't figure it out. I do the one thing. I got that far. So that is my ladder, and I'm slowly
It
climbing it. Thank
it
you.
was just bounce house bosses and then the event hawk members, right?
Yeah,
We're good.
that's perfect. Awesome. Yay. Hello, everybody. Super, super excited to talk about hiring and setting a winning mindset. So I've been prepping for you guys today. I've got so many great things to share, but I would love to hear your thoughts as well. And definitely, I know both of my businesses here are relatively new. So hiring is something in the future that we might be looking for, but it's a good idea to have a plan in mind. When is it a good time to hire? And when I do hire, like what kinds of individuals am I looking for? How do I create a winning team? These are all great questions that Tariq has a hiring masterclass for. But luckily, I've been through his masterclass, and it's super exciting to be able to share some of that information now. So that way you can hopefully plan for the future, and then setting up a team. And then I know Zoelle is also part of an excellent team that Tariq has helped hire and has maintained this really great group structure. So it's a good idea to get on the inside of what Tariq's groups are like. I'm on the Event Hawk side and Zoelle's kind of in both camps. So it's good to kind of get an idea of where to go from there. And so that's kind of our focus for today. So yeah. So let's start with chickens. Okay, chickens. This is an interesting experiment that was done to pick the best teams. Okay, so what this scientist did, and I will definitely share you the TED Talk because as an English teacher, I should cite my sources. It is a TED Talk. But basically, scientists wanted to create chickens, a group of chickens that were the best producers. So he had a group of chickens and he took the best producing chickens and he from a group of chickens that were just general and he let them reproduce for 6 generations. He took the best egg layers and he put them in a group all by themselves, thinking that if I had all these star egg laying chickens, that if I took them and separated them from the group and put them together, then those chickens would be the best layers, egg layers, basically. And so that previous group of chickens did relatively well. They produced eggs. That's obviously your KPI or how you measure them. How many eggs did they produce, right? That first group did relatively well. Do you want to guess what happened to those star egg layers that got separated from the group? Yeah, it's actually really, really sad. But they killed each other. Yeah, they absolutely killed one another because they couldn't handle the fact that, I guess in chicken language, they couldn't handle the fact that everyone was just as good as them or they all had these great egg laying skills. They needed the other chickens that maybe weren't as excellent at egg laying, but they needed the community of those egg layers in order to be successful and actually survive, right? So they all, yeah, it did not function at all. And yes, I do have a point with this. So getting to that, when it comes to hiring and finding the right team, it's not necessarily finding the person who's the best salesman ever, the person who's the delivery person who seems the best and who like looks great and who can lift and do all those things. It's really the people who you can connect with. It's the connections that you can make with the people that you're hiring. And that is like in essence what that TED Talk, it's only 15 minutes. It's an excellent one. But it really just sums up the fact that the team that you create is one that you trust and one that can trust you back. And specifically, I know we've talked about this before in one of our earlier talks, but money, incentives, and getting people to do all these things really means nothing if there's no connection behind it. And it seems counterintuitive. It seems like the opposite of what you would expect. Like if I pay someone more, shouldn't they do more work? Shouldn't they be better? Shouldn't they? But really, it's the connection that you make with the people that you hire that really turns your team into a game changer, a winning one, right? So welcome, Williamson Walker. I like that, Mr. Walker. Love it. Um, to our talk here. So that's kind of my sum up of a talk. Was it of a TED talk? What do you think, Zoelle? Was it what you expected?
Not at all, but I love it. I love it. I was not expecting to walk into a chicken
Chicken.
talk today. But I love it. I'm here for it. It seems to be a common trend today, chickens.
Chickens. It's all about those chickens. We actually have a couple of people on our event hawk team that have their own chickens. So I was thinking about what do I want to bring to the chat today? And I was like, you know what? It's chickens.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Awesome. Yay. Okay. So that was my little pitch there. So let me turn it to you guys for thoughts. Oh, John's here. Yay. Kaleb and Adriana, what are like some of your burning questions about hiring or about when to hire? Like, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, one of the things I tend to struggle with up here, and it kind of floats in all three of my different organizations, is that everything I seem to do is seasonal. So
Mm,
I'm trying to find individuals who are adaptive to the different businesses each season. So,
mhm,
for example, I have Christmas lights in the winter, and then power washing in the spring and summer, and then inflatable nightclubs, hopefully the whole time in between it. So it's a little bit of a struggle for me to offer somebody like, hey, this is just what your job, like this is the company you're working for. Instead, it's more like, hey, do you like doing all three of these things? Because that's the only way I can give you a decent job. Um, Please
right.
work for me, kind of thing. So it's
Please work
a
with
challenge.
me. I love it. That is an excellent outline of the seasonal, the struggle with seasonal, right? Because if you're trying to provide something that your employees are actually going to get in on, right? They actually want to work for you. Really huge to develop those relationships with the people that you work with, right? Because it's going to be important for you. Like what you are offering is what is in their best interest. And I can tell you from personal experience, like it's not about what I do, it's who I work with, who I work for. Right. So if you're asking me to do things that are maybe out of my wheelhouse, I don't have experience, like I have no idea what I'm doing, I'm going to be more willing to do that if I have a good connection with you. Like I want to work with you and it's fun working with you. And I'm not saying that everyone has to be like 100% cheerleader all the time. And this is just, again, from my personal experience here. It's really building that relationship with your seasonal workers and saying, you know what, like I'm not going to necessarily have work for you year round because I know not everyone is as awesome as Kaleb. He's got multiple businesses. So it's cool that you can offer like, hey, if you're willing to do this and this, like I can keep you like going for the year. Not everybody even has that where it's like, I don't even have business. Like I shut down 6 months out of the year. So how do I get someone to work for this amount of time and then not for the rest of the year and then keep them coming back instead of having to retrain like multiple people every single year? It's exhausting, can be terrible. So how do I get around that? So that's a really great point to bring up. Like, how do I make it so people stay? Also, if I do get to hire them and they're willing to do that work, how do I retain them, year after year? So when it comes to Bounce My House, Zoelle, can you kind of give us like an idea of what that's like when it comes to, who you have working right now, like for Bounce My House?
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously I'm still newer to the company. I've been there for a couple months, but it seems to be like a good, if I had to guess, it seems like 75% of our delivery crew from prior years have continued to return. We have a good handful of people that have now been on the team for 3 years, and it's seasonal, you know. So they're here throughout the summer and, into the fall a little bit, and then they're back to their lives. And most of these kids are still in high school, they're still in college. So they do have other things to do. But thankfully, Jamila and Tariq have really built this awesome culture, keeps them coming back. They want to come back. Like, even if, that means that during the spring, they might have to work one part-time job elsewhere and then bounce my house on the other part-time. Like, it's worth it to them because they have so much fun. And what's really, really cool about our team is most of them are just referrals. So these are all guys that most of them are all guys that went to high school together and already have a really good relationship together. So they enjoy working with each other. They enjoy being around me, Tariq, Jamila, because we make it a fun environment and we make it engaging. And you mentioned incentives earlier, and just like you said, if you don't have this fun, it doesn't have to be necessarily fun all the time, but if you don't have this um, culture together, then those incentives really don't mean anything. I know at my old job, like, I loved what I did, but that connection with my direct boss wasn't there. So all this extra, things that he wanted me to do weren't worth it to me, no matter what the incentive was, because we just didn't have that relationship, that connection, and it just overall wasn't worth it to me. But for these guys, they really do love it here, and I see it on a day-to-day basis. Like, two of my guys today, they were supposed to be done at 2. They clocked out at 2 and then just like sat in the office and kind of like kicked it with me and just like chopped it up for a little bit. So like, it's enjoyable. Like, we're all, like I said, I'm newer, so I'm still getting to know people and I'm still getting to know other crew members. But overall, if you guys get along, you make it a fun, engaging environment, like, it's worth it. And they're going to keep coming back and they're going to keep referring their friends. And I think that's really where it ties in, is these guys keep referring their friends. So we started, I'm sure at some point they started with a small crew, and now we have, 15, if I had to guess, 15 different delivery crew members that, you know, interchange throughout the weekend. So that's kind of a little bit of what I've experienced with Bounce My House.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Zoelle. So it's really nice to get that window because knowing who's like working on the ground in Bounce My House is super helpful for when it comes to what is the group that we're looking at when it comes to seasonal work, when it comes to people who are willing to do multiple jobs, and from pretty much everyone in here experience wise, when it comes to rolling and unrolling, like that can be a really demanding, physically demanding position. So that's something like, hey, yeah, bounce houses are fun, but when you have to, it's 100 degrees out there in the humidity, so much fun, so it's really great that they've got that camaraderie that kind of keeps them coming back. So John, you look like you're on the go. Do you have a crew over there? You have a whole crew over there. What does your crew look like? Oh, he's talking, but he's muted. Hold on. There we go. He's on the phone, so tricky.
Dude, does that work? There you go.
There we go.
All right, how you doing?
Hey.
Yeah, listen, for my business, what I did after the pandemic, because it was very hard to get people, usually people would start working for us sometime in March, and then I would say sometime after Halloween, the majority of the crew would be done until next March. But what I did 2 years ago was I opened up an indoor place, which it made some money this year. Last year it cost me some money, but we closed Pit Stop. We brought some of our smaller rides indoors, bumper cars, tubs of fun, dragon ride indoors, and a bunch of arcade games. And I had 20 to 40 hours a week for my core crew to work. So I didn't care if I made money with that, believe it or not, business owners. What I did care about was training my crew and keeping my crew. So I kept a core of 10 guys working throughout the winter months in the indoor place. So this way here, I didn't lose them. And anything that I had in the indoor place, guys that didn't know much about the equipment, slower days, we trained them, more. But besides doing the bounce houses, we do arcade games. We have carnival games. We do casino night. So if they're smart enough to add and look good in a black dress shirt, they can be a casino dealer, blackjack. Everybody needs blackjack dealers. The wheels and stuff like that. We do that. So I don't know about your area, but in New York, again, just before the pandemic, we started to do a whole bunch of events in December. So we do winter wonderlands with inflatables. And I don't care if I only get 4 of those, that's great because they're usually in the $10,000 range, and 4 of those are really good for December. So I pretty much got my April through December covered with the inflatable business. And so January, February, March, 3 months out of the year, I count on this indoor place to supplement 12 weeks worth of workers. And if you don't think that makes a difference in not having to find the people and boosting the morale, of the core guys, it does, it totally does. So we do a good job of that. The only issues that I'm having these days is that the legalization of marijuana is the misconception of when it's okay to smoke and when it's not okay to smoke. I've got guys that I've got to tell them, hey, listen, when you're on your way to work in the morning, I know you're in your personal car, but don't vape up, before you come to work, and don't come in smelling like Cheech Chong's ashtray, so that's that crew problems. That's one of my biggest crew problems right now, is dealing with the whole pot phase. Yeah, when I worked when I was younger, and I might have been doing this or that allegedly, my boss never knew about it. He never smelled anything on me. I was never high or had any weed or anything like that, like on me or anything like that. So I'm like, I don't just get it. This day and age, it seems like workers are brazen to talk about it in front of you, and brazen to not care as much. And you can't fire everybody because you wouldn't have any workers these days. So that's my challenge. But I am able to keep a core crew because of my winter activities that I have, which all seem in line with the event business. So that's my story.
I appreciate it so much, the fact that you have sorry, I'm echoing, but you have an indoor place as well to like filter people through. So when it comes to giving people opportunities and like people wanting to sign on for positions, like you have something to offer them, which is great. So when it comes to your issues with your crew, so this is obviously by a case basis, but I'm just curious, why is it that the marijuana is it the marijuana use because it's against the law, they shouldn't be doing it, or is it like a personal preference, like you don't approve?
Well, I guess you might disagree with me, but I feel like if you come in half baked in the morning, or you smell like, I don't know that I'm going to say something really stupid, right? If you were going to have surgery and your surgeon smelled like he smoked like he just smoked, just vaped some marijuana, would you want him touching you? Same thing with setting up a ride, or putting him behind the wheel of your vehicle, So I have no problem. I have no moral problem with anybody smoking weed after work, when they're done off the clock and they're not going to be needed for another 6 to 8 hours, but coming in the morning, like that, I just don't agree with it. Or smelling like it, I don't agree with it because, I just think it's just going to affect their performance, and the Karens of the world are going to, say something to me. So, Yeah, definitely. It's definitely illegal to drive high. But but um but the guys will tell you, the guys have misconceptions these days, because they say now if an officer sees you smoke weed out there, he might just wave to you and just keep on going. What they don't get is that most officers, unless it's something really bad that they see out in front of them, they are not going to get involved most of the time, because they don't want a lawsuit. It has to be something, that they feel, is public endangerment, or they got to stop something that's going on that's really bad. But smoking marijuana, because of the way the law changed and all that, they're not going to stop it. So they try to use that scenario with me, that the cops don't do anything anymore. Years ago, a CO, before he was retiring, he said to me, John, he goes, be careful out there. He goes, cops are no longer coming to protect the victim. They're coming to arrest the winner, in a fight. So they've got some misconceptions of them. I wish they didn't make it legal, because now people think that if it, I don't know about the rest of you, but how many people have gone, to a supermarket, or gone, to a movie, or X, Y, and Z, and you could smell it all over, and it's like, hey, dude, if you want to do that at home, great, or at your yard, or or if you're having a private party, you want to go do that, that's great. But why should I, sitting next to you, have to be subject to that if I don't want to? I mean, I just think it's I think morally, I think as a society, we're just not doing it. I was at a high school yesterday, and I know this is going to sound crazy. I'm a New Yorker, in the city New Yorker, Bronx, and doing an event, and all the kids are cursing up a storm with the teachers right there. And I'm talking a little curse. I'm like every other word. It was like, I'm like, I did my job, whatever. They didn't dress me like that, but I'm like, when I was in school, and I'm only going to be 59 at the end of this year. We never would have been like that. We'd have never been like that around our parents. So just I'm old school, I guess. Just a different world.
Yeah, John, thank you so much for answering that. So I really appreciate that, because that actually, what you're saying, is definitely something that goes along with establishing core values early and then sticking to those. And one of Tariq's core tenets here when it comes to hiring is you hire slowly and you fire quickly. Okay, so what that means is basically I want to hire people who go with my core values. And if I need, for safety, for my business, I need a drug-free workplace. I need people who I can trust with my equipment. And I need people who are polite, respectful, who don't use language that could be offensive to anyone. Like, those are the core values that have to do with my business and what I want people to say about my business. Last time we were together, I think with Kaleb, we had that, like, what do you want your business, like, what do you want people to say about your business in one word? So if what they say is, wow, your drivers smell like weed, and they're swearing, like, that's not really going to help you build your business, right? So
Not, yeah, no, no. Yeah, I mean, thankfully it hasn't trickled to the customers with the weed. The language was more the kids that were at the event, not my guys.
oh, that's good.
And yeah, no, listen, I wouldn't. That's something I just I tell them all the time. I tell them about it. I don't appreciate it. And if I had a handful of people that wanted to work, these guys that do come in, they do put in a good day's work. And I want to say, that we are on point. I mean, we just did an event on Saturday with another company that was there. This one town uses two companies for their event because they don't want to give it all to one company. We were set up an hour ahead of time. They final piece got set up an hour and a half after the event started. So they're not coming back next year, and we looked very good. But so my guys are doing a good job of things. I've had a weird couple of weeks. Tell you another quick story. This one event my son was managing. We've had it for 20 years, this church picnic. And a couple of parents were complaining about one of our single moms. She brings her 14-year-old son, with a cute kid, very respectful. He was on top of the water slide, and a couple of the kids at the end of the day. Now this is like a 5-hour event. Last half hour of 5-hour event, were saying that he was cursing, and I've never heard him curse ever, and that he was spraying the kids on top of a water slide in their face with water. So my son right away took the kid and said, look, said to the parents, I'm really sorry. We're going to get him out of the situation. Took him out of the situation, put him in a U-Haul truck on the property, and said, half hour to go. We're really sorry this happened. And then my ex-wife, who was on that job site too, she saw this father of one of the kids that he said he sprayed in the face with water, grab this 14-year-old who looked very petite, very much, he more looks like an 11, 12-year-old, not than a 14-year-old, and grabbed him out of the truck bodily, and slammed him on the ground. My ex-wife went to grab the kid out of the way before getting hurt further, and before my son knew what was going on. And then the guy punched her in the face. They both ran away from this guy. My son finally got there. Another one of my guys got there and said, "Hey, stop! You're hitting a child and a lady." A friend of that guy punched my other worker in the back of the head, and my son pushed that guy away, got everybody separated. And I told my son called me. I told him what happened, and they called the police. And so I thought, for sure that the father was drunk, the friend was drunk. I said I want the guys arrested. I want them arrested. It's for assault. They're lucky I wasn't down there. I was in Rockland, like about 40 minutes away, and bringing trailers back, and I couldn't leave where I was to go back there. And I was like, just get them arrested. And the cops hem and hawed whether they were going to arrest them or not. They did arrest them. The father and one of the main organizers said they wanted to speak to me at 1 o'clock on Monday. So I'm all ready for, being sat down like a little boy, how my worker caused this and everything like that. They begged me, they apologized to me for the incident and begged me to take their event again next year. And I was like, yeah, I was extremely shocked. They wanted to make sure that we were going to prosecute the guys and do it, and make sure that we followed through on it, which we did. There's 2 orders of protection for 2 of the people against one guy, and then 1 order of protection against my other staff member for the other guy there. But that one guy, both guys spent the night in lockup, Sunday night to Monday morning till they went to court, and the organization and the organizers applauded us and were apologetic, and they thought that the kids were full of garbage, that the kid, this kid was working the ride the whole day, and they said, what, the last half hour he turned into a demon scene? It's like no complaints all day, nothing but compliments on everybody. So first time in my life of doing this that an incident happens where the next day the organizer wants me to call to apologize to us for the way this one family acted towards our staff, and to beg us to come back. And we've had this event for 20 years, so it was what a crazy couple of weeks. I got to tell you that much. It's been insane.
What a crazy couple of weeks. Jeez.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Like I started with chickens, and now we're punching ladies in the face. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, it was just an insane show. I was just like, I just couldn't believe it. And my son was like all happy. He was like, yeah, because we only got 30 minutes left, and we had a crazy weekend. I mean, my son and my crew have been pulling off, I'll tell you the good and the bad. We've been pulling off some insane weekends, tons of bounces out, tons of events that we actually, go out, set up and supervise. And my guys have been pulling off insane events. Workload. We're busy right till up until the 8th with major events, July, and so we're going nuts. But yes, that's been crazy. Good news is that the whole crew wound up getting more closer after that incident, because they all backed each other up, which was great thing. But the greatest thing is, and I had some hardcore guys there. None of them went after the other guys to throw a punch or to do anything to them. They let the police handle it, and they as much as they do some things that I don't appreciate, they acted 100% appropriately, which helped out with the end result, which was really good. That where those two people went to jail, and my staff were nothing but complimented and apologized to, which is great for us.
Wow. What a story, and absolutely the fact that they kind of bonded together. So that's what we're talking about. If we're talking about our chickens, right? Our chickens aren't necessarily all superstar chickens, right? We don't need them to be superstars. We need them to work together as a team. We need them to support one another and help you be more successful. So that's really, yeah, what a great, yeah. I mean, I'm glad everybody is sort of okay now, and
Okay,
and I guess,
they worked together last weekend. They were fine. I use the analogy like this with any manager. I said every manager would like, if you're playing a poker hand, you'd like 4 aces. Who wouldn't want 4 aces? But 2 2s and 3 3s is a full house, and you can win that hand. So that's where I like the analogy I give to managers that don't have the crew that they're hoping for, on any given weekend. And that's the analogy I give.
love it. I love it. Casino metaphor. I'm all about it. So that's great. That's awesome. Thank you so much, John, for sharing that. Definitely, I want to get some insights from Kelcie and maybe John also on where they're at, like when it comes to hiring and setting that hiring mindset, or any questions that you have about hiring or anything like that you'd like to bring up to the group here, Kelcie.
Hey, I'm definitely sitting in the car while the kids are playing in the yard. So you may hear like random loud noises. So that's just a disclaimer there. But as far as hiring goes, so I mean, we finally have a stable buddy who helps us, and he helps on Fridays and Saturdays. His other job, he works Monday through Thursday, then he helps us on Friday and Saturday, and then he gets a rest day on Sunday. But aside from that, it's been my husband and myself. And the heaviest unit that we have is this like 500 and something pound obstacle course. But hey, we make it work. So yeah, I definitely want to. We also offer full staffing for our concessions, so like snow cones and stuff like that. And that has been relatively easy to hire for. Totally different than slinging bounce houses is what I always say. But I also really like John's analogy about the cards. I have to use that because I think that's what has been so hard about hiring. We want to continue with that family feel and that family feel, and just knowing that like anybody who's out there representing Bouncing Bay is just doing a phenomenal job. So yeah, would love to have like maybe like 2 or 3 more come on. But I've also been pleased with just the organic growth. We just turned 2. So anyway, that's where I stand. And yeah, we hired him and I came into this conversation late, so I don't know if I'm saying something over that somebody else has said, but we hired him as a contractor, so that W-9, 1099 situation, as opposed to W-2.
That's a really great point, Kelcie. That's awesome. Actually, how did you hire your first guy, and how have you kept him around?
So honestly, he is my best friend's brother, and I had no idea that he was even job searching. I was talking to her, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we need to hire." So she was like, "Well, he's gonna come." But I will say, like, when he comes, we feed him, and I mean, it's just good vibes, and we've been really blessed. So I don't know what John was talking about when I joined about like the whole punching and but we have been really blessed to have some really cool customers too. So we haven't had any, no circle. So we haven't had, I feel like, yes, it's hot. It's a long day, But we also have a lot of fun. We're infamous for like finding some random food truck that's parked on the side of the street, and I try to build in like a lunch.
Nice.
So yeah, we'll like find some random like hole in the wall or food truck to try. And yeah, I mean it's just been good vibes.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also with tax documents, obviously, no one's giving legal advice here, but it's always a good idea to ask other business owners how they're doing their tax, like for different employees. Most people are pretty open if you ask about that, but definitely when it comes to contractor versus W-2, you have pros and cons in both sides. So considering health insurance, workers' comp, all of those things that come along with your employee is part of your cost. And so when is it a good time to hire? When it's less expensive for you to hire someone than it is for you to do it yourself. So it's really a cost comparison between like, I'm going to keep doing these deliveries and all of that, like with my gas, with all of my expenses. So when is it time to hire one person, two, three, and then how can I support them, beyond like this season to like next season, like all of that. So that's really great. So thank you for bringing that up, Kelcie. Awesome. Oh, there we go. I like it. Zoelle put in the chat here. Have you asked your current employee to refer any of his friends or family? So that's for your other 2 or 3 hires there.
So that right there is a great idea, Zoelle. I love that. I have not, but yeah, I think I will. The other thing I think about doing, so I have like a large network of just people from the community on Facebook, and I'm always so hesitant to put up that post because I'm like, that's just gonna. So, okay, the other thing I've been noticing, I don't know about anybody else on here, but it's like the more Bouncing Bay grows, I feel like now whenever I make a post on Facebook, it just ensues a wave of people just like reaching out to ask for things.
Understandable. Totally get that.
Yeah, but I think about that, but I never thought about asking our current employee. So yeah.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what I was talking about too, before you had hopped in. So I'm actually the manager for Bounce My House in Chicago. So one thing that we are, fortunate enough to have a pretty good crew, or a pretty big crew, I should say. And the cool thing about them is most of these boys are from high school, college, and they love it here. They love like just our culture, our atmosphere. And so what keeps them coming back too is the fact that they're constantly referring their friends, their family. And so the more people that they have around them that they know, they enjoy, they like to be with, the more they want to show up to work and the more that those people want to refer more friends. So it's almost like a domino effect. So I definitely highly recommend that, at least reaching out to your current employee and saying, hey, I don't know if you have any other friends or family that need a job, but I would love for you to bring someone in and, still go through that normal interview process. One thing I wanted to add on too, that Tariq does, and this is how I got hired. It's kind of a funky thing, but and it was to me at first when I was kind of going through the process, but he doesn't do your typical interview process. You have to submit a video before you go into the interview process, and you have to answer 5 questions. And they have to be submitted, not like a super specific way, but they have to be like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if you know, Amanda, but it has to be like a PDF form or something like that. But it has to be like less than 5 minutes. And the thing about that is that's going to kind of weed out your people too. Because I'm going to be honest, when he approached me with that through Indeed, and he was like, submit a video, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I've never had to submit a video for like an interview. This is weird. And I sat on it for like a couple days, almost a week. I mean, granted, I was busy, but that's an excuse, right? So I thought about it more though, and I was like, this is how he probably gets the right people. If you want the job bad enough, you're going to take the extra couple minutes to submit that video and follow through with the rest of the interview process. So that's just a little tidbit. And then from there, you can, review all these videos together and start to select your people from there and go, okay, who's moving on to the next step from there. So that's all I had to add on there.
Yeah, so absolutely. I'll real quick, not that I'm gonna play it, but here's mine. This is the one that I submitted to get my position at Event Hawk. It's super embarrassing. But this I went through several interviews. So when I say hire slow, I really mean hire slow. Hire before you actually need the person, right? Because you can take your time, you can go through the process. You want to have your core values established. But this is the very first thing. I never saw myself at a marketing company for bounce houses, bounce house business owners. And I threw it in as a whim. Here's my shot, like take it or leave it. And out of, so many applicants, there were hundreds, there were so many. That's another conversation, obviously, but this was my version of what Zoelle is talking about. So when it comes to the questions, and I know I've disappeared, there we go. When it comes to those questions, it's so important that they align with your core values. So it's so important to establish, like, I want someone who's a leader. I want someone who's responsible. I want someone who is honest. Like, you want to sit down and think about, who are the people that I want surrounding me, and how do I want to, like, keep them engaged, right? So so yeah, it's really nerve-wracking to do a video of yourself, but you got to think, if you're hiring college students, if you're hiring people in today's world, taking a video of yourself on a phone or whatever, like, I mean, lots of people do TikToks, lots of people are doing Instagram videos. So honestly, asking someone these days to do a video of, like, to answer questions, either they're going to do it or not, like Zoelle said, but that at least you're going to know, like, are they willing to step outside of their comfort zone to answer the questions that go along with your values before you take more of your time to hire them, right? Or to, like, interview them in person, right? Yeah, Kaleb, that's exactly. Oh my, following instructions. I can't even right
So
now.
we hire like 50 summer camp coaches every year for my family's summer camps. And
Mhm.
that's one of the application processes, is that we reach out and say that we'd like to set up a phone interview. And then we actually tell them, we'd like you to call us at this time. So many people don't, they're like, well, you never called me. So we asked you to call us. It's not normal. Most places don't do that. But if they call us outside of that time, they don't get it. Because A, they didn't prioritize it, and B, they couldn't follow directions. But that also helps weed people out pretty quickly.
Nice, nice. That is excellent. That's wow. Yeah, absolutely. That's where you get the assignment, and then you're supposed to read all the way through, and at the bottom it says, put your name at the top and turn the sheet of paper in. There you go. That's how it works. So really great. So you learn a lot from that process of going through. So I like that. Like, call me at a specific time. That's a good that's a good idea. Really great. I didn't know your family ran summer camps. That's cool.
Yeah, so we have like 350 kids right now every day from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we got like 50 coaches over 3 different facilities. And so there's a lot that goes into them. So if they can't A, call you on time, or B, just call you in general, they probably shouldn't be watching children either. So that's kind of just follow directions and maybe you'll get a next chance.
That's fair. That's fair. And they all need inflatable nightclubs, right?
So that's the only bummer, is like none of our facilities are tall enough for this thing to fit in. And so it's bright white, so in the daylight it's not great either. I made a mistake. I bought a white one. I shouldn't have bought a white one, but the next one will be able to be used during the daylight. So
Oh
learning.
man. And you know what, Kaleb? I met with 2 other inflatable nightclub owners just recently, actually, and I was like, you need to come to the round table. They're not where you're at. I forgot where. I think it's like Florida. There's 2 in Florida or something like that. But
There's
apparently
one in Florida that I spoke to. So I'm not
nice,
sure if it's him. That's
right?
cool.
It's
So
exploding.
I have questions about the nightclub.
Go
So
for
like
it.
when you come back, like, is it trash? Are you seeing like illegal things? And
So this is all brand new for me.
Okay.
And it just became warm here. So we did an event about a month ago, our first one, and it was a learning curve event for sure. But it was a group of adults in their 30s and 40s who rented it for his wife's birthday. And we were supposed to pick it up at 11. It was supposed to be 10, then it changed to 11. Um, we show up at 11 and the music's still going, and I go back and they've got like they're playing beer pong and like they're having a great time. Nothing illegal, but I mean they were all wasted and there was trash all over the place. And so we had to like pick up all the trash because you got to deflate it onto it. I ended up taking my tarp and setting it over all the beer cans because I was like, I don't have time for this. We're an hour and a half away from home. Like, let's wrap this up. So I'm learning to figure out how to do them as an overnight so that they have time to get it cleaned up by the next morning for me to come back. Um, but yeah, so far it's been it. Kids' birthday parties will probably be safer, but it looked fun.
Okay, okay. Because sometimes, yeah, I've been at like family will send you random inflatable stuff. And I just always have wondered. So thanks, Caleb, for
Yeah,
sharing.
no problem.
And as far as like the trash thing, do you have like a really powerful leaf blower? I would have just blown it. Blown it off.
That's actually a really good idea.
We have
Uh,
a really nice Ego battery powered blower.
yeah,
And yeah, whenever there's like those annoying water balloons stuck anywhere,
yeah,
blow those mugs right out.
that's a good point. Yeah, I mean it was beer cans and
Yeah.
random stuff, but Zoelle, as far as charging a cleaning fee, I probably would in the future. Um, but for this one, it was the first event, and I just wanted to like get it done and go home because I also stayed down there for 7 hours and then extended his party by 2 hours because he said he was having a great time and he was going to get a video testimonial of all of his friends saying how awesome it was. So I was like, all right, none of that happened, but I'm kind of glad because they were wasted. So I showed up and I was the bad guy. I was like, okay, great. Sorry that I gotta take your party. Why are you taking it away from us? Well, he didn't pay to have it longer. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry.
That's how it goes.
I
So
was like,
if
worse than
you
the kids.
right, right. So
Like,
if
you
you were
can't
to
just
charge a
leave it till
cleaning fee,
tomorrow? What's that?
so if you were to charge a cleaning fee, how much would you charge? Because I know ours, like if we do have to charge a cleaning fee, it's pretty minimal. Like I want to say, like if people are doing like a chair and table pickup, like it's a $20 cleaning fee for something like that. What do you
Right.
think you would charge for? Because I feel like that's such on a big scale, especially with the experience you just had with like, beer cans everywhere and trash and whatnot. Like that's got to be a lot to clean up and super annoying.
So, I mean, there's no floor, so I can just slide it back. It is huge though. It's like 26 feet long and 20 feet wide, so it isn't a unit. Um, but after I just took the tarp, it was also raining. But I didn't want to cancel the first event in the rain too, so that was just it was all a nightmare event. But I don't know. I mean, that's the only experience I've had so far. So other ones they might not be as messy. They'll probably respect the time a little bit more. We'll see. Um, but I would probably just charge, like, it depends if they get the actual unit stained or something, because it is white canvas material. So like they could mark it up. I don't really know how I'd charge for that. Actually, I think I have it somewhere in my thing. It's like $100 because I gotta set it up somewhere else, and it's not like a 12 by 12 unit or something you can set up. It's 14 feet high
Right.
and large. So, and it's heavy. It's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, I think it's one of those things, especially if it's new for you, you're gonna trial and error with it, you're gonna
And I'll
live and
deal with
learn through
things I
it.
shouldn't
So
have to, but I need to get
yeah.
it out there so people can see it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, best of luck with all that. That's awesome though.
Thank you.
I know. I am super excited because as much as I like, there's so many new inflatable ideas. Like the inflatable nightclub, I thought was such a great idea because I've had to throw a couple of bachelorette parties in my past, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would have loved to have like an inflatable nightclub just to like rent and like not have to go anywhere and you know, that would have been super great. But yeah, so I don't know. Like as far
I
as
asked them what they were looking for, like how did they find me? And the lady was like, I actually searched on Google inflatable dance club. And I was like, oh, fair enough. All right. I'm the only one that does it, so
About to add that to your SEO word search.
exactly. I was like, all right, fair enough. But yeah. If any of those people, Amanda, sign up for it, Lionel has a group chat with me and a couple others from they're outside of the country that do nightclubs too. It'd be fun to chat with them.
absolutely, I think that'd be a great idea because gosh darn it, Caleb, I want you to get a lot more bookings. Like I feel like you should be booked out every weekend. And for some reason, you know, like I'm talking to these other inflatable nightclub owners and maybe it's location or they just don't know. Like you got to build a market for it
Oh,
in
yeah.
your area.
It's very, very
But
new.
it's very successful. Like they're doing really great.
That's
So just gotta
awesome.
build that
Every
market.
person I talk to up here is like, you have a what? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you've known me forever. Like I talk about it all the time. You haven't seen it? They're like, I had no idea you had this. Okay. Well, open your eyes. Put it all over the internet. It's huge. You can't miss it. That's fine.
Hey, geez.
I'm sure next year will be crazier.
There we go. We're building one step at a time here.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I wanted to say, let's see, we still had Williamson, we have iPhone, and Adriana. We only have about 7 minutes left, but I wanted to make sure if you had anything about hiring that you wanted to share or you had a question about it, that I make sure that I get those answered for you.
No, I'm not doing no hiring yet. I'm still trying to push out my first event. So I'm still working on just me and my wife right now.
How do you hire
Okay.
your wife? Like, is it just the relationship? Is it the strength of your relationship, Adriano? Or are you like, what are you doing?
The strength of the relationship.
There you go. That's what, is she right there? Is she with you?
No, she's not.
No.
The
Okay.
little one with me.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense. So the strength of the relationship is keeping the team together, like pushing forward. I like that.
She's also my motivation too. She's helping me out a lot.
Yeah.
So yes,
And it's
sometimes
nice. It's like an all day date, right, Adriano?
Yeah, it is.
Where you're sweating and working together.
I mean, but like we like to do active things anyway. So like if we were gonna go on a date, it was gonna be some kind of sweat involved.
Woo woo.
Yeah, that's how it is over here too.
Yeah. And yeah, it was like when we started 2 years ago, our kids were 3 and 1. And that was like that was the most FaceTime we had with each other that did not involve them. So yeah, like it was fun.
Yeah, it is.
So they can grow up rolling bounce houses. It's fine. You're just like training them all up to be that. I loved Tariq does videos of his son Amin and they like roll bounce houses, the cutest thing ever. I'm like, what an adorable little employee.
Yes, and they're very adamant about being helpful.
Oh yeah, I'm sure, even if it's not exactly that helpful.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man. Well, this has been really fun, you guys. I'm so glad, Kelcie, that you joined, and John, you came in on your phone, like in your vehicle. And then Mr. Walker down there, thank you so much for your questions, your input also. And Adriano, as always, like the fact that you come in week after week, I really appreciate that. And all of your insights. We have a Peruvian restaurant to try from last time, so I'm still like,
Yes.
I gotta put that.
Gotta get out here.
On my bucket list, right? Got to get to that Peruvian restaurant in like Rhode Island, right?
Yes.
I was like, that's the one.
That's
Yeah,
the spot.
that's a spot. I love it. And then Kaleb, thank you so much for your inflatable nightclub stories. And John, same with you also. Like your stories are awesome. Like I'm riveted every time I get to hear those stories because I think you just don't get these kinds of stories everywhere. Like these are very specific to the industry that are really interesting. So I think I want to have an episode on like party rental nightmares, you know, and like I wanna have like
Yes, that'd be
worst
awesome.
stories ever. We'll do like a Gordon Ramsay version of party rental businesses.
There you go. There you go. Hi, Booker.
Yeah, he's like it's time to hop off and go take care of me, please.
Of course he has on a jersey. I love it.
Right, he's a Suns fan, just like
Mhm.
yep, little Booker.
Love it.
Alrighty. Okay, well that's my cue.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you hopefully next Tuesday.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Have a good night.